Welcome back, guys, here to the Intel Extreme Masters GamesCom casting booth with myself, Kyle Aris.
And me, Day 9. I'm really excited that the next map is one of Bomber's best maps, Metropolis, where we have seen games continue until people's tongues have turned to sand.
And that is exactly how I felt once or twice. I'll be honest, I do like the big macro games. They can be very, very fun, but when you get tongue-tied a little bit, going into like a 50-minute game, it can be a bit strenuous.
Well, as we head into this next match, do note that it is match point. Fully expect Bomber to go passive mode and do this cool late-game Raven play. Let's introduce our players. In the right position, on the individual sponsored team, Azubu, it is going to be viOLet.
And spawning down to the southern position, he's spawning as our red Terran. He needs your support, guys, here. 2 games down. Give it up for StarTale's Bomber. So Bomber loading up onto Metropolis here. Again, you know, he's very, very strong on this map, or can be. I think he can bust out really a multitude of tactics on here. He could quite easily go for that bio play and, you know, just draw it out to the point where he gets those 5 bases, goes for the double drop potential. And I think Bomber was really one of the Terrans that really started to incorporate that a lot into their play while still making their presence felt in the middle of the map. It's so easy for people to say, well, I'll just drop here once, and then I'll just drop in the second location at a different time, not all at the same time, and then from there on it's not as effective at all as it would be if both of those things hit at exactly the same point.
Yeah, Bomber's just brilliant at syncing all that stuff up. I mean, we saw him do hints of that earlier in his bracket play, but thus far in today's games, it's just looked a little bit dry in terms of Bomber's execution. It's been very much so a surprise to him that there was that roach play coming at him early. But let's be honest, if you're going up against viOLet, he's going to be doing that as often as possible. Bomber now going for another 1 barracks expand, the most classic, typical style of expand. So
yep,
I would imagine it's going to be your typical game.
And with that spawning pool going down, it's funny because viOLet actually always builds the spawning pool right there on this map.
Yeah.
It always does. It creates a little bit of a nice wall. That opening between those 2 gas geysers can be vulnerable to, say, for example, if someone actually goes for, you know, Helium play, actually darting around near that mineral line. And from there on, he just adds extra buildings in the back in order to be able to really separate that off.
Yeah, I mean, it's always important to note how your building placement right at the start can actually affect everything that's going on at the late of the game, especially for Protoss planting down those pylons. It's kind of cool. Oh, nice. Going for the double refinery play and instantly repelling that Overlord. In fact, viOLet didn't even get to see a single refinery go down. I think we're actually going to see Bomber go Hellion Banshee. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, it can work out pretty well for him. And especially, again, since he didn't see 1 gas, never mind 2 gas, that is always something that you have to really kind of expect. And he's trying to find another angle to be able to push in. But again, Bomber knows the positioning of that Overlord. He knows it's trying to shark around the bottom corner as long as he's actually kept an eye on that Marine down to the south.
Bomber looks like he's going to be hiding an SCV up at this top side. I like this. I highly doubt we're going to see a factory go down here. That would be so cool. No way, viOLet. Oh, hi, buddy. How's your corner, buddy? Looks like he's going to kill that immediately. Bomber now going Hellion. Yay.
There's a very nice little scout out there by viOLet. Very methodical in that defense. Again, you know, this is the big stage. Everything is on the line here. Despite being 2 games up, he wants to seal this out with a 3-0. He doesn't want to have to go into extra games against Bomber. So he's just being extra careful here, making sure that all the angles are covered, making sure that his opponent is as blind as possible.
I love these 3 Marine push-outs that Bomber does. He does this with like every single one of his builds. Darting forward, darting back, picking off an extra unit here or there, but still eventually winding up with the same defensive setup that's needed. Oh, yes. Oh, Hellion Banshee.
Uh-oh.
Bomber's now getting ready to play a standard style, and that really suits him so well. viOLet really be able to get it down? No. Owned. Oh, look at this. Okay, that was my GSL style excitement.
Legend camera work there. Very nice. As for now, he's actually getting a lot of lings out here. He's actually producing 12 extra lings to complement his already 11. Those guys shred up that SCV, but I mean, with these extra lings going down, he's still got those 2-2 and evolution chambers on the way. He's just going to go for a full ling defense here against these Hellions.
This can work, but Bomber is super on point with this sort of micro. This should actually excite Bomber that he's going to be in this position. Those are some very lined up Zerglings, but of course Bomber going to wait until he has just the right amount of Hellions, and look at that control from both players. So crisp.
Yeah, that little split there, so subtle but so fantastic by viOLet, making sure the lings wouldn't take as much damage as they would have done had they stayed in that initial position. And for now, he's just droning up behind this, adding on Spore Crawlers as well. He knows the event potentials that can come straight after those Hellions, but at the same time, chances are we'll see Bomber actually couple these up with that full frontal push. And it's so difficult to deal with it with just Roach Queen because of the way in how they synergize.
Yeah, I mean, the Hellion Banshee synergy is just so pretty. I love watching it in action. And Bomber actually looks like he's going mech just due to the fact that there's a dangling tech lab here with a barracks attached to nothing that totally looks like he wants to be gearing up for some blue flame play. viOLet now trying to step forward with a queen, but you really need everything at the front lines to deal with this push.
Yeah, and he's actually just going to try and deal with it with Banelings. My apologies for saying approach, as that's normally how you would see it deal with. He does get a nice surround on one of those Hellions there. For now, just going to try and wiggle his way around this one queen so close to death, almost getting blocked by the jealous queen there. And for now, we'll be able to fall back to the safety of the Spore.
Oh, Bomber, I don't know how much I like this. He's trapping all of his units up in this top side. This is exactly how we saw 4GG fall.
That Roach Warrant now on the way here for viOLet as well. The Zergling's actually going to flood in. He's trying to walk the Spore Crawler over to the creep to save the space from the imminent danger impending. And now will run in with these Zerglings. Nice control there, though, by Bomber, keeping them alive and doing a lot of damage to those Zerglings.
There we see one queen falling, but Bomber, all his Hellions are trapped at this backside. Desperately, Bomber tries to get his Banshee Hellion into a good position, but it's at this back where the Zerglings are surrounding, and viOLet is going to just annihilate these Hellions.
Oh, a nice cleanup there, saving that hatchery, saving any more kind of potentials that would occur from that. He's going to be able to send his drones over there soon, and the Banshee actually flies into a Spore Crawler. Doesn't want to be there too long at that natural, but is able to find a little bit of wiggle room, trying to find some more angles to be able to pick off drones here and there. But viOLet, with the constant aggressive defense, will be able to shoot away with those extra queens.
viOLet looks so good in this matchup. I mean, he made 30 lings at the start of the game and then just didn't really do much with them. And still was in an amazing position. And now Bomber looks like he's doing very much so what 4GG did, except on this map, in this position, Bomber is much more comfortable. He's already very close to getting siege tanks with siege mode, and I just don't anticipate Bomber attacking anytime soon.
I mean, one characteristic of what we've seen Bomber doing here is the fact that he was so aggressively pumping those SCVs. He's up to 58 SCVs right now to the 58 drones. It's oftentimes you will see the Zerg in a little bit of a lead here, but he just wasn't really able to make use of this third hatchery for quite a while due to that zoning out by Bomber. So despite losing those units, a little bit of indirect damage from there in comparison to where he finds himself economically.
You know, I want to come back to something I said just a moment ago. I said Bomber's probably not going to be attacking for a while. I mean, probably until the 30-minute mark, Bomber won't be attacking. This fourth command center is very atypical of his play, but the long late-term play where he transitions up to Raven and then tries to win with Raven Marine Ghost, that is typical of his play on this map. So this looks like another way of saying, you know, let's just get that late gameplay started right now. But unfortunately for him, he's going to be up against some Mutalisk play. We see 6 Mutalisk in production. Spire is done. 2-2 and Baneling Nest en route.
Now, I do like the Mutalisk transition, but I think what we might end up seeing here, he's actually throwing down the Infestation Pit straight away after it. So this looks very similar to what we see Vortex do in this match. He just sprinkles in those Mutalisks to put his opponent on that back foot, and then from there is able to transition to that Ling Infesta style with those heavy melee upgrades to then eventually transition into Ultralisks. But personally, I'm a big fan of Broodlords on this map because of the way in which the architecture works in the middle of the map, those ravines and those kind of cliffs, but we'll see what he wants to go from there.
God, every bone in my body wants to call him a Guardian. I miss that unit so much. Mutalisk morph into Guardians, you know. Wouldn't that be cool, huh? Yeah, remember those days? You didn't have to, like, build this non-Mutalisk unit to get your Guardians up. Oh, God, that would so cool. Imagine if Mutalisk turned into Broodlords. I don't know why I think this is so important to emphasize in commentary right now, but just picture that for a moment.
I don't want to. I think that might be a bit broken.
Oh, God. You sure don't play Zerg, Kalaris. Looks like Bomber will repel this threat of a small number of Mutalisks. Looks like a gigantic flub from Bomber. Just oh, God, that is the biggest error I've seen Bomber make all tournament long. His entire build right now desperately needs 3/3 upgrades. And there he is just now starting it. Oh, God, what a painful moment.
For now, we have those 7 Infestors on the way. Hive morphing in here, as well as those Banelings being morphed in. So I would love, as soon as this Hive finishes up, for him to throw down Nautilus Cavern. But again, as I said before, Broodlord's very, very potent on this map. You can just literally sit on the edge of your opponent's bases over these ravines to be able to just pick away at very, very key infrastructure, to be honest with you. Although that being said, you know, Bomber's the kind of guy who is gonna know, you know, there's a starport, there's a Spire, sorry, out in play. There's always the potential for those Broodlords to be coming out. So no doubt we'll see another starport down anytime soon to be able to complement this first one. And then from there, he's able to build a lot of Vikings if he needs that transition.
I'm still expecting mass Raven out of Bomber. Did it at the Red Bull Battlegrounds. Would not be surprised to see him do it here. Actually, I would be surprised to see him do anything else, honestly. Planetary Fortress now down. Bomber's using these little Marini dudes to just clean everything up. Now, how is viOLet going to be playing this up? It looks like we see that he's going Ultralisk Zergling, but this would require him to be an attacking player. He's not yet really done anything with his Spire, so he's probably just going to try to bring the noise and kill off Bomber right now.
Indeed, as he goes for a really, really nice surround on a lot of those Marines. I love the bunker placement, though, as well here from Bomber. Will be forced to retreat for now, and the Marines just swing in from every angle, forcing viOLet away. Wow.
Oh. I see 2 starports, Kalaris. I'm excited. I'm getting the Gitchy.
Although that being said, it didn't work out for him too well in game number 1 once those fungals landed. So really needs to be very adamant about splitting his units here and not being scouted out too soon as well. That would be very, very important.
Wow, Bomber doing a push. Rarely see him do it like this on this map. Big surprise. 6 Ultralisk producing right now for Azubu's viOLet. He's also taking a 5th base. No player's really made a play for any of the islands at this point.
Oh, going to swing in once again. He gets good surface area on those frontal siege tanks, but not going to be able to clean up too much more. Those Marines shredding up everything there.
Got every one of those tanks, though. Very nice.
And the thing that's actually going on here, though, is the fact that, now he's just transitioning into those Marauders. I was going to say he was neglecting them for quite a while there, but now he's transitioning into them. Really, really needs those up very, very quickly to be able to deal with this up close force.
Still behind on that armor upgrade. Bomber clearing out as much creep as he can. He's not moving forward with these siege tanks. Looks like, he's going into the drop play. Bomber's splitting himself up.
But the problem is, didn't he do that like over the presence of creep? Actually no, he just did not have the vision of that going over that creep. But now he sees these medevacs heading everywhere. He doesn't know that this one's in the 5th though, but he still has some Banelings already positioned there to be able to deal with it.
Bomber's got to be careful with the control, and he is not, but upgrades. In the meantime, big engagement from viOLet attempted, but denied by this rapid retreat from Bomber.
Meanwhile, we have that double drop going down in the main here, trying to push forwards with that. But the Ultralisk continuing this aggression in the middle of the map right now, trying to bring down the wall here of Bomber, as there are a few Ravens here to be able to try and deal with this along with his bio contingent. But is it going to be enough against that many Ultralisks and Infestors?
Insta-target fire on the spawning pool, and it will likely fall down. But spawning pool falls down. But Infestor Ultra up in the main base. Mega Fungals land. Can Bomber recover? There's so much that viOLet can produce at this point, just not Zergling. So Bomber's going to hope that these siege tanks are enough to keep him alive a little bit longer. A good defensive spot for Bomber. He just needs to rebuild a little bit.
that 3-5, obliterating this bio here with the upgrades for the Ultralisk. So important. Look at this flood of Zerglings coming in here for viOLet, able to constantly put Bomber on this back foot once again. And he's done so much damage. He got so many good fungal growths off on all of the bioforce of his opponent. These Ultralisks just killing everything.
Jeez.
And right now he's just ripping up this third base as well.
We've seen so many 3-0s in a row, and viOLet might be doing the third one of the day. But Bomber has a small force of Marine Marauder, taking out all the Ultras, the Infested Terrans being the big damage dealers in this fight. Bomber still has a decent economy, has 40 SCVs, but has a lot of those orbital commands. But this one Ultra working through a lot of SCVs all on his own.
I'm still really scared for Bomber, though. That amount of Marines this late on, 43 Marines, is going to get shut down so easily by 11 Infestors if he's not able to split absolutely perfectly. And then once they get fungled in place, those, again, massive Kaiser Blades of those Ultralisks come along to be able to say, "Nomi nomi yum time." Don't know why I said that. It's okay, don't worry.
A lot of Ultralisks, Infestors out on the map, but energy's not optimal for doing these big busts. Generally, you want close to full on over half of them.
Yeah, that's so strong a composition right now from viOLet. I don't know how he's going to be able to deal with it. He has 3 Ravens, but to be honest, Ravens aren't really what you need to be able to deal with this. They don't really get it fully going. Against Ultralisks, they're not that good. Against Infestors, they can be good. But Infestors don't even clump up too well either. And the splash of Hunter-Seeker missiles, if he has it, is not enough to be able to really fend off those numbers.
What Bomber really needs is those forward planetary fortresses to hold those positions. Right now, he's just relegated to these back defenses, trying to position himself well. Doing auto turrets, there is no Seeker missile upgrade. He can't do a huge blast to pick off all those Infestors. And we see viOLet starting to dart forward, ripping down that tank line. But as these Infested Terrans pop up, the Infestors are now basically out of energy, and Bomber can reposition and use basic Marine medevac to just pick this force off.
Yeah, he's got 23 Marines still on the way here with those 6 and 7 Marauders now. But these Ultras still shutting down quite a bit of the operations at this base. There is still the base over to the northern position here, which will be a bit hard to engage into because of the way in which those orbital commands are positioned. But again, just viOLet constantly battering down Bomber. He is trying to go for a drop up in that north base, and he's doing quite a bit of damage with it, killing off a load of drones as well as a Queen, but still 100 supply almost down at this point.
Gosh, I mean, even with all these workers killed, Bomber is in the worst of bad spots. There's so much resources in the bank for viOLet, up at over 3,000 gas, only now deciding that it's a good time to go for that transition of Broodlord. Yeah. And this finally is looking more and more like Bomber's good spot. He wants this spread at the front. This is unfortunately not a planetary fortress. A couple of Lings will step in for viOLet, but the Ultra count is not as high as before. There's only 4 out on the map. I think Bomber's going to be able to stabilize if he can hold off this attack.
Well, here we go as the Zerglings flooding once again. He gets the orbital command, just retreats for now. I don't think we ever mentioned that the creep spread for viOLet is actually ridiculous. If you look on the map, it's like got tentacles and everything like that. He just wraps around the entire map here. So difficult for Bomber to deal with. So difficult for him to move out on the map because he has to constantly clear up this if he even wanted to. Never mind this defensive position that he's had to be thrown into by viOLet's constant aggression.
I mean, this is a gross spot for Bomber. We were talking so much about how hard it is to attack, how no one really does it on this map. And viOLet is just cross-map sprinting back to back to back to back.
It's almost as if viOLet is playing exactly how you don't play this map. Most people just sit around, just build a 200 army and go. But viOLet has been so aggressive
and look at this, he's just finding every little hole in Bomber's defense. Literally slipping Zerglings in where they don't belong.
Oh, even burrowing some there to make it horrendously difficult for him to continue mining operations there once these Zerglings get cleaned up. If Bomber dropped a scan, that would be absolutely amazing. But for now, few Mutalisks actually catching a drop down to the south, and they pick off that medevac. Those 3 Mutalisks that have been idle all game long pick another medevac off.
God, viOLet is in total domination this game. I mean, I know he was joking about Zerg Imba, but this is a clearly viOLet Imba. I mean, your race cannot give you map awareness in the way that viOLet has. And look at this great play, the burrow trick. Bomber again getting this expansion shut down.
Oh, indeed. 59 workers killed right now for viOLet as his opponent dwindling at the 37 SCVs to the 87 drones. He's been able to build up quite a nice bio army here, whilst viOLet has just been re-establishing himself. His Ultralisk Cavern, he's built, did he get another Ultralisk Cavern in the production tab just then?
Yeah, there's one up here. I believe there's another one hiding
Nidus
somewhere.
Network.
Show me the Nidus.
Oh yeah, he actually made a second Ultralisk Cavern. It's at the third, the Nidus as well.
Nidus Network. And also Broodlords look like they're heading to the back of the main as well.
I love that. Not enough people do that. We saw that from another Zerg recently, and I can't remember who. Startail Curious versus Startail Squirtle in the TSL 4. Just using a few Broodlords to be able to pick away at the infrastructure of his opponent with 2 Broodlords on Daybreak.
Oh, he's Nidus warming right here. Bomber has also built up his own force of death. Almost at 3-3-2. Oh, this game's gonna get real weird real fast. Looks like viOLet's gonna try to defend with just Infestors. There's Broodlord, Corruptor, Ultra Infestor, base trade mode going down.
As that Nidus one pops, the Ultralisks flood out here to be able to take out the rest of the infrastructure of Bomber. Meanwhile, he is just giving that up. He's just going for that straight base trade, trying to kill off what he can at these bases. All the drones have burrowed here to try and save themselves, even at that 5th before it even gets hit. And right now, though, those Ultras and Broodlords causing havoc in the main of the Terran.
I mean, economically, the edge goes far, far in Bomber's favor. He's killing off the 2 newer bases of Bomber. Bomber's killing off the 2 newer bases of viOLet, but viOLet is not actually killing off the newer bases of Bomber. He's killing off the old main. A lot of infrastructure does fall, but Bomber's getting to clean up a lot of key structures, and he's going to kill off the Nidus network. He's going to trap all those units away. If only he'd scanned to kill off the drones, it would be a little more even, but Bomber manages to escape with most of his units.
Meanwhile, Bomber actually supply blocked heavily here by almost 100. He is throwing down extra starports to try and make some kind of transition to be able to deal with those Broodlords, since he has pretty much, I would say, enough ground force to be able to deal with the Ultralisks. It's just a case of when that kind of engagement comes.
Oh, Bomber! A genius move, runs a couple of Marauders out into the middle of nowhere. Scan, Bomber, scan. Where's your scan? He has to run.
Oh, that could have been fantastic there for him. He could have got so many key infestors. Had he taken those out, it would have been even easier for him to clean up those Ultralisks later on in this game. But again, I can't help but feel that viOLet maybe shouldn't have gone for this base trade. It's looking really grim for him. This bio is just chewing up every single building he has. He's trying to establish bases down in the middle of the map, but I don't... This is still anyone's game.
12 Brood... I mean, it's Army Supply tab, very even. Most of most of the supply count for viOLet is actually in these burrowed drones hiding at the north side of the map, and with Bomber pulling everything back, I actually think Bomber may be able to pull this off. He just needs to be very careful with his rallies.
How many? I mean, he's trying to get Vikings out as quickly as he can. 7 Vikings in production. Well, 5 Vikings in production to be able to complement the 2 that were already out there. And once he gets those Vikings up and running, there's actually not that many Corruptors left over. He needs to use those Fungal Groves to kill off the Vikings. Otherwise, those Broodlords are going to be so susceptible to extra damage here. And right now, ripping up, once again, so much of the infrastructure for the final time. This is the last infrastructure he really has, bar these barracks floating away. And Bomber just establishing himself for a potential engagement to come.
Oh my god, Bomber trying to build some SCVs, but he can't. He needs some Mule to repair if he wants to keep that command center alive. In mid, we see a single... Oh my god, killing off that orbital command. This is uncharacteristic sloppiness from Bomber, but my god, this game is really intense. Wow, actually catching off 1 Broodlord. 12 Broodlords do remain. There's the center of Broodlords, and the tanks are caught off guard. Oh, they're going to go for those Infestors, and he manages to get 1. Can't get any more, and 3 tanks as far as viOLet's concerned.
Yeah, that scan was so important there for Bomber, but he just wasn't able to really connect with the rest of them. How much force does Bomber have left here? 16 Marauders, 25 Marines, and 5 Vikings against this crazy Broodlord Ultralisk force, pushing in once again. So many Broodlings raining down here to be able to kill off the rest of this bio, and if this goes down, it's going to be the last bastion of hope here for Bomber. He's trying to push back as far as he can, but those Fungals go down, locking them in place against these Ultralisks, and it looks like viOLet is going to be able to take it out. There's not much left for Bomber.
There's almost no anti-air, but there it finally goes down. And viOLet, 2 base trades out of 3 games, gets the win. What a play.
Oh my God. 3-0 against StarTale. Bomber, how does he do it? Bomber's such a formidable opponent, but he just, every single game, I mean, 2 of those games admittedly were ridiculously close. In fact, all of the games were ridiculously close. But viOLet just ekes it out every time.
I mean, it's kind of funny to note that Elfie went 1-3 with viOLet.
Yeah.
But Bomber unable to even take a single game off. That does mean that viOLet will be the first player in the semifinals, and he's going to be going up against the winner of the next match that we have, MC versus Nerchio.
MC versus Nerchio. I am looking forward to that, guys. I mean, the winner of that going up against viOLet, this bracket is just shaping up to be amazing. I mean, not only do we have MC Nerchio, but later on, we're going to have Supernova and Vortex, and then Slivko versus MVP. These games are just so good, Sean.
I can't believe still, not just that viOLet won 3-0, but the way in which he won 3-0, defeating Mech with a base trade, winning that last game against Bio with a base trade. I mean, let's just throw it up to the main stage with Jarrett so we can hear what viOLet has to say.
Our winner, Azubu viOLet. How do you feel right now, man?
I'm so sweat. You guys enjoy my game?
Very well played, very hard, and you're definitely sweaty. In the next round, you're going to meet either MC or Nerchio. Who would you rather meet and why?
Maybe MC, because I want to make a really good game, so MC is more good. GBC is kind of bored.
Yeah, it's a great answer. Well, congratulations. Best of luck in the next round. And is there anything you want to leave your fans with?
I will win this event. Cheer me, please. Thank you.